Hello guys, welcome to Reach the International. Today I will analyze what the President Volodymyr Zelensky say one day after the Russian invasion against the Ukrainian territory. I will analyze this and then reach a conclusion and then share with you right now. So in the very beginning of this video, guys, I need to let you know that this is not intended to offend someone's opinion. It's not intended to offend the Ukrainian people. It's not intended to offend no one else. This is just my opinion according to the fact, according to what really happened. So I'm taking this information, analyze them, and then give you my point of view. So what really happened was that in the day 25 February 2022, after the Russian invasion against the Ukrainian territory, the President Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, come to public and say that they were abandoned, that Ukraine get abandoned, and that he tried to talk with 27 European leaders, and no one showed interest on helping Ukraine with this war situation. But when he said that he get abandoned, that Ukraine get abandoned, he is exactly talking about the European Union. He's talking about the NATO. He's talking about the United States of America. So to reach a conclusion about this situation, about what he say, I will make it easy in 3 points, and I hope this is really easy. So pay attention on this. Point number 1. Let's back to the time and understand a little bit of the story of independence of Ukraine. In 1991, when the Soviet Union came to its official end, 1991, many countries and many republics that made part of the Soviet Union, they reached the independence. So I'm talking about many countries. Some of them stay and make part of Russia, but many countries that make part of Soviet Union, they reached the independence, and I'm talking about Poland, I'm talking about the 3 Baltic countries, and I'm talking about Ukraine and many others. So what happened? Ukraine reached the independence as many countries, but Russia or Moscow didn't accept it well. Some of them feel treated because Moscow has taken the freedom before, has settled in his country a kind of government turned to Russia styles. Okay, so what happened when the Soviet Union come down? Moscow didn't accept it well, so some countries feel treated. So they feel treated, and what they did was to make a kind of alliance. And Ukraine was safe about his sovereignty because they had some nuclear weapons that Moscow placed it in Ukraine to make a kind of strategic. It was a kind of strategical point. So they placed in Ukraine many nuclear weapons, a number of 1,700 or 1,700 nuclear weapons in Ukraine. So what happened? It's important to understand that this country that made part in the past of Soviet Union, it was being used to achieve and protect the Russian interest. So what happened in this time? When the Ukraine reached his independence, they feel safe because they got nuclear weapons with them, so no one could treat them. But Russia asked to Ukraine to give them back the nuclear weapon, so they reached an agreement. It wasn't easy because Ukraine didn't want it to give it back because the Ukrainian people knew, and the Ukrainian government knew that if they have no nuclear weapon, they could be treated very easily. Their sovereignty could be in risk. So they reached an agreement which they should give back this nuclear weapon to Moscow, and Moscow should sign an agreement that would never invade Ukraine, that would never treat the Moscow or the Ukrainian, that would never treat the Ukrainian sovereignty, would never treat the Ukrainian territory. So they signed this agreement. All right. Next step. So how much president did Ukraine had since the time that they get the independence till the present days? They had 6 presidents. Number 1, Leonid Makarovich Kravchuk in the power in the year of 1991 till 1994. Number 2, Leonid Danilovich Kuchma in the year of 1994 till 2005. Number 3, Viktor Andreyevich Yushchenko in the year of 2005 till 2010. Number 4, Viktor Fedorovich Yanukovych 2010 till 2014. Number 5, Petro Oleksievich Poroshenko 2014 till 2019. And then the last one, Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelensky, the year of 2019 till the present days. So you may be asking yourself, why is he talking about this president? Why they have to do with the comment that the President Zelensky say? Calm down. Many countries that before make part of the Soviet Union, when they get rid of Soviet Union, they get in alliance, they get in NATO. They try to do something to protect their border, to protect their sovereignty, to protect their independence. But for some reason, Ukraine didn't make part of this country. They didn't make part of the group of the country who think about their sovereignty, their protection. I'm sure that they did it because they had this agreement of non-invasion to give back the nuclear weapon and then in exchange had no invasion from Russia's side. I'm saying this because when we join the first president, the first president, the second one, and the number 3, we have an amount of more than 10 years of these 3 presidents in the power, and no one have think about get in NATO to get this extra protection, even knowing that they are sharing the border with a country that in the past has treated their independence, has treated their sovereignty. But for some reason, and I'm sure that the reason why they feel so confident was the agreement that they make of non-invasion. So we see that this many presidents seemingly they didn't think about this. They didn't think about this extra protection, except the Viktor Yushchenko, because he tried to get in NATO, but it was too late. Because if I'm not wrong, just 2 years after he will be defeated in the election. Getting to the election, the president Viktor Fedorovich Yanukovych, this one is a pro-Russia president, or was a pro-Russia president in Ukraine. So one of the first things that he did when he got in the power was to cancel the request of Ukraine in NATO. So he canceled this request. So once again, Ukraine had no alliance. They was just alone. The president Petro Poroshenko, we don't blame him because he assumed the power in Ukraine in a time that they was with the military conflict in Crimea and in Donbass with the separatists. So there was no way how to get in NATO because of that rule that many know. So the last one, President Zelensky, we also can't blame him because he came in this same situation with Petro Poroshenko, because it came in a time that Ukraine was in a very bad situation. So after understand this point number 1, that even knowing about the situation, even knowing that they are sharing the border with a country that has treated them before, they did nothing to get some extra protection. So when they tried to do something with the President Viktor Andreyevich Yushchenko, it was too late. So the point number 2, when we analyze the comments of President Volodymyr Zelensky, we see that he is not that wrong about being abandoned. He's not that wrong because since 2014, when the President Yanukovych was taken down in the power, Ukraine has kept many relation and a long relation with NATO, European Union, and with the United States of America. So what happened? It was 8 long years of relation between these countries and Ukraine. So in 2022, when the war came to Ukraine, they feel no aid from this country that has kept relation with Ukraine in 8 long years. So Of course, when President Zelensky said that he feel abandoned, because he talked something like, if I'm in trouble, this country that they are supporting me right now, they will do something. But when the war came to Ukraine, this country just letting Ukraine fighting alone. So this is the second point in this comment. So he's not that wrong, because not now, but in the time that the war came to Ukraine, he really was fighting alone. No other military get in Ukraine to fight with him to defeat the one who was invading the territory. The point number 3 is the position of European Union, the position of NATO, the position of United States of America. There's one important thing to understand. I hope you understand the first point when I say that Ukraine had no points, had no alliance. So United States of America, NATO and European Union, they had nothing to do with this war. This war is between Russia and Ukraine, and as we know, Ukraine have no agreement, Ukraine have no military alliance. So when they are being invaded, when they are in a war, he couldn't call someone, he can't say that he feel abandoned because no one is helping them, because this war belongs only to Ukraine. So this is a delicate situation. So we know that Ukraine had no alliance, so this country don't have to put themselves in a war, but not because they can't do this, but because of the responsibility. We see a war in Ukraine in these times. We see that they are feeding the war, they are keeping Ukraine fighting, but putting the military in Ukrainian territory could make it escalate in a very, very high level. Things could be very worse than is it now. So talking about the position of this country that just left Ukraine fighting alone, it's important to know that they have no agreement to support Ukraine. They didn't make it, not only because they don't have this agreement or because they don't have this obligation, but the responsibility. If they get involved in this war, things can get worse, things can get in a level that we can't imagine. Just the war between Russia and Ukraine have gave us many trouble economically and humanitarian side. So imagine if we put there more country that they have nothing to do with this, the situation could really get in a worse scene. So that's why I think that it was a very nice decision of not supporting military, but sending them guns, sending them some food. It's okay, feed this war in a secondary way, it's okay. So when we analyze these 3 points, when I analyze these 3 points, in my conclusion to Ukraine, so as I said before, I don't want no one to feel offended. In my conclusion, Ukraine didn't get abandoned. Ukraine didn't get left behind fighting alone. Ukraine was already alone. Ukraine had no agreement, no military alliance. So Ukraine was already alone. So for me, it doesn't make sense. If you back in the time before Russia invade Ukraine, the ambassador of Ukraine, the Ukrainian ambassador in UK, when interviewed, he say that even with this many countries supporting Ukraine in this time of tension, when the war comes to Ukraine, we will be fighting alone because we don't have any agreement, we don't have any alliance. Ukraine was already alone. Ukraine didn't settle no military alliance, not with NATO, not with European Union, and with no other country. So they didn't get abandoned, they was already alone. So the ambassador Vadim Pristaiko said this when he interviewed, that even with this support that Ukraine was receiving from many countries, in the day of war, Ukraine will be fighting alone because they have no allies. So this is my point of view. As I said before, I hope no one get offended, but this is just an opinion. Let me know about your opinion in the comment. See you in the next video.